We live in the most advanced civilization in human history. But what if our greatest achievements have come at a cost we are only now beginning to understand? What if, in our quest to build our world, we've become lost within it? There is a book that serves as both a diagnosis and a map for this modern dilemma. It's called The Lost Human, and it offers the profound knowledge we need to see our planet clearly, and more importantly, it provides the wisdom and hope we need to heal it. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by the state of the world, but believe in our capacity for change, then stay with us as we explore the powerful lessons of this incredible book.
We live in an age of unprecedented marvels, a time defined by human ingenuity and boundless ambition. Our cities scrape the heavens, monuments to a species that has learned to command the very elements of the earth. We have connected continents with threads of light and data, collapsing distances and weaving a global tapestry of shared knowledge and culture. We have unlocked the secrets of the atom, extended the boundaries of life, and cast our gaze towards the distant stars, perpetually reaching for the next frontier. This is the grand narrative we tell ourselves, a story of progress, of ascension, of humanity as the unrivaled master of its domain. Yet, beneath the gleaming veneer of this modern world, a profound and unsettling paradox has taken root. As our built environments have grown more sophisticated, our connection to the natural world that sustains us has become dangerously frayed. We have become architects of a world that is increasingly alien to the one that birthed us, forgetting that the concrete and steel of our cities are drawn from the soil and mountains, and the power that fuels our digital age is drawn from the sun, the wind, and the ancient remains of prehistoric life. The very progress that defines us has set in motion a silent, creeping crisis. The symphony of the wild is slowly being muted. The vibrant colors of our planet's biodiversity are fading, and the delicate climatic balance that has allowed our civilization to flourish for millennia is beginning to falter. The book, The Lost Human, begins here, in this uncomfortable twilight between our greatest achievements and our most devastating failures. It forces us to confront a difficult question. In our relentless quest to build a better world for ourselves, have we inadvertently initiated the unraveling of the only world we have? It is a story not just about melting ice caps and endangered species, but about a deeper, more intrinsic loss, the loss of our own place within the intricate web of life, and the forgetting of an ancient wisdom that whispers a simple truth. We are not separate from nature, but an inseparable part of it. The journey through this book is a journey to rediscover that lost connection, to understand how we arrived at this critical juncture, and to find the courage to forge a new path forward.
Every great story of change needs a dedicated storyteller, a guide who can navigate the complexities of a crisis and illuminate the path forward. For The Lost Human, that voice belongs to Wanchai Tantivitayapitak, a man whose life's work has been deeply intertwined with the environmental pulse of our planet. His is not the detached voice of a distant academic, but the seasoned, empathetic tone of a journalist who has spent decades on the front lines of ecological change. As a former editor of Sarakade magazine, a publication renowned for its in-depth and compassionate storytelling, Tantivitayapitak has consistently chosen to turn his lens toward the issues that others might ignore. He has journeyed into dense forests to document the lives of indigenous communities, stood on the banks of polluted rivers to trace the sources of contamination, and listened to the quiet wisdom of farmers struggling with the consequences of a changing climate. His writing is born from this rich soil of first-hand experience. It is infused with the sights, sounds, and human stories that transform abstract data about carbon emissions or deforestation into tangible, urgent realities. This book is not simply a collection of facts. It is a testament to a career spent bearing witness. Tantivitayapitak possesses a rare ability to connect the dots between our global systems and our individual lives, showing how the choices made in corporate boardrooms ripple outwards to affect the smallest organisms in a remote ecosystem. He writes with the precision of a scientist, the narrative skill of a novelist, and the unwavering conviction of an advocate who believes that knowledge is the first and most critical step toward meaningful action. Understanding the author is crucial to understanding the book itself. For The Lost Human is more than an analysis of a problem. It is a deeply personal and passionate plea from someone who has seen the beauty of what we stand to lose and the incredible resilience of both nature and the human spirit. He is our guide on this journey, offering his lifetime of learning not as a judgment, but as a shared map to help us find our way back home.
To navigate a problem as vast and complex as our relationship with the environment, we need more than just information. We need a clear and structured path that guides our understanding. Wanchai Tantivitayapitak masterfully provides this in The Lost Human by organizing his exploration into a deliberate four-part journey. This structure is not merely an organizational choice, but a carefully crafted narrative arc designed to take us, the readers and viewers, through the full spectrum of awareness, from confronting the harsh reality of the problem to discovering the inspiring possibility of its solutions. The journey begins with the most direct and challenging part, aptly titled Humans Hurting Themselves. Here, we are asked to look unflinchingly at the immediate consequences of our actions, examining the ways our cities, industries, and daily habits directly contribute to the degradation of the world around us. From there, the book expands its scope in the second part, Unexpected Impacts, revealing the hidden, often surprising chain reactions that our actions set in motion, the intricate and often invisible threads that connect a consumer choice in one continent to an ecological crisis in another. This section is crucial as it elevates our understanding from a simple cause and effect to a systemic, holistic view of our planetary interconnectedness. But just as the weight of this knowledge begins to feel overwhelming, the narrative pivots. The third part, Light at the End of the Tunnel, serves as a beacon of hope, shifting the focus from problems to solutions. It is a curated collection of powerful case studies and inspiring innovations from around the globe, demonstrating that a better, more sustainable way of life is not just a distant dream, but a present-day reality. Finally, the journey culminates in the fourth and most personal part, When Humans Don't Give Up. This section brings the story down to the individual level, celebrating the stories of ordinary people, activists, community organizers, and quiet innovators who have refused to succumb to despair and have instead chosen to become agents of positive change. This four-act structure is the book's greatest strength. It ensures that we do not get lost in the darkness of the problem, but are guided through it, emerging with not only a profound education, but also a renewed sense of purpose and a tangible belief in our collective capacity to heal our world.
Our journey into the heart of the book's first section, Humans Hurting Themselves, begins in the most familiar of modern landscapes, the city. These sprawling metropolises are the epicenters of human culture, commerce, and innovation, gleaming testaments to our ability to reshape the world in our own image. From a distance, they appear as constellations of light, pulsing with energy and promise. Yet, as we draw closer, we begin to see the deep wounds that this concentrated form of existence inflicts upon the planet. Every skyscraper that pierces the clouds stands on land that was once forest, wetland, or prairie, a permanent scar of displaced nature. The very air that hums with the sound of millions of lives
is often thick with a haze of pollutants, a toxic byproduct of the traffic that flows like blood through the city's arteries and the industries that power its constant activity. Below the streets, a hidden world of pipes and tunnels works tirelessly to bring in clean water and carry away our waste. But the journey for that waste often ends in our rivers and oceans, transforming vibrant aquatic ecosystems into silent, depleted zones. The city is a place of immense consumption. It draws in a constant, massive flow of resources: food, energy, water, and consumer goods from vast distances, processes them, and then expels a mountain of refuse. This relentless metabolism leaves a footprint that extends far beyond the city limits, driving deforestation in faraway lands and depleting water sources miles away. The wisdom presented in this part of the book is not an outright condemnation of urban living, but a call for a profound shift in awareness. It encourages us to see the city not as a self-contained entity, but as a living organism with a direct and often damaging relationship with the wider natural world. It asks us to recognize the hidden environmental costs embedded in our morning commute, our weekly grocery run, and the simple act of turning on a light, revealing that the urban wound is not inflicted by some anonymous force, but is the collective result of the choices we all make every single day.
If the city is the center of consumption, our journey now takes us into the vast shadow it casts, the world of industrial production, where the raw materials of the earth are transformed into the products that define modern life. This is the engine room of our global economy, a sprawling network of factories, refineries, and power plants that operate on a scale almost too large to comprehend. For generations, this industrial might has been synonymous with progress and prosperity, a symbol of humanity's power to harness nature and build a world of comfort and convenience. Yet the lost human compels us to look closer at the true cost of this model. We are guided to the banks of rivers where the water runs discolored, carrying a silent cocktail of chemical effluent from factories upstream, poisoning the aquatic life and rendering the water unsafe for the communities that depend on it. We are taken to the foot of smokestacks that pump plumes of particulate matter and greenhouse gases into the atmosphere, contributing to the air we breathe and the slow, inexorable warming of our planet. The book reveals that the industrial shadow is not just what is added to the environment, but also what is taken away. It is the mountaintop removed for a seam of coal, the ancient forest clear-cut for timber, and the vast open-pit mine dug to extract the rare earth minerals required for our electronic devices. These actions represent a fundamental imbalance in our relationship with the planet, a relationship built on the assumption of infinite resources and an infinite capacity for the Earth to absorb our waste. The crucial knowledge imparted in this scene is the understanding of the systemic nature of the problem. This is not about demonizing a few bad apple corporations. It is about recognizing that our entire industrial model was built during an era of ecological ignorance. It is a system designed for linear extraction and disposal, a one-way street from the planet to the landfill. Acknowledging this systemic flaw is not a cause for despair, but a necessary step toward envisioning a new industrial revolution, one that is circular, regenerative, and designed to work in partnership with nature rather than in opposition to it.
From the industrial zones that forge our tools, we turn to the vast open fields that feed our world. The story of modern agriculture is, in many ways, a story of triumph. It is the story of human ingenuity applied to one of our most fundamental needs, sustenance. Through mechanization, hybridization, and the development of fertilizers and pesticides, we have managed to feed a global population that has grown exponentially, a feat that would have been unimaginable to our ancestors. This achievement, however, lies at the heart of a profound paradox. In our single-minded pursuit of maximizing yield and efficiency to achieve food security, we have inadvertently waged a war against the very ecological systems that make farming possible. The lost human guides us to the edges of once great forests, showing us aerial views where the vibrant, chaotic green of a natural ecosystem gives way to the stark, geometric patterns of monoculture plantations. These endless rows of a single crop, be it soy, corn, or palm oil, are incredibly efficient at producing calories, but they are ecological deserts, devoid of the biodiversity that creates resilience and healthy soil. We are then brought down to the soil itself, the dark, fertile foundation of all terrestrial life. The book explains how intensive farming practices, plowing, overuse, and a lack of crop rotation are stripping this precious resource of its nutrients and structure, leading to widespread soil degradation. We are losing topsoil, the most productive layer, at a rate far faster than nature can replenish it, slowly turning fertile land barren. Furthermore, our reliance on a flood of chemical inputs has created its own cascade of problems. Synthetic fertilizers, while boosting crop growth, run off the fields into rivers and lakes, creating massive algal blooms that suffocate aquatic life and form vast dead zones in our oceans. Pesticides, designed to kill pests, often do so indiscriminately, harming beneficial insects like pollinators and disrupting the delicate balance of the local ecosystem. The crucial educational value of this scene is in understanding the complex trade-offs of our global food system. It is not an attack on the farmers who work tirelessly to feed us, but a critical examination of a system that often forces them into unsustainable practices to meet global demand and economic pressures. It asks us to look beyond the produce in our supermarkets and consider the hidden environmental story behind how it was grown, urging us to seek a new agricultural paradigm that nourishes both humanity and the planet.
Having explored the vast systems of production, the cities, factories, and farms, our journey now arrives at its final and most intimate destination, our own homes. It is here, in the quiet moments of our daily lives, that the global supply chain completes its cycle. It is in our choices as consumers. We live in an era of unparalleled access and convenience, where almost anything we desire is available at the click of a button, delivered to our doorstep. This culture of consumption is so deeply woven into the fabric of modern life that we rarely stop to consider the immense, invisible network of activity that supports it. The Lost Human brings this hidden network into the light, asking us to look beyond the price tag and the packaging to understand the true story of the objects we own. Let us consider a single, simple item, perhaps a cotton t-shirt. Its story begins not in a store, but in a field, likely one that requires vast amounts of water and pesticides to grow its crop, contributing to the agricultural paradox. The harvested cotton then travels thousands of miles to a factory, where it is spun, woven, and dyed, a process that consumes enormous energy and can release chemical pollutants into local waterways, adding to the industrial shadow. From there, it is shipped across oceans, burning fossil fuels, before finally arriving in a retail store ready for a short life in our wardrobe before it is discarded. Every single product, from our morning coffee to the smartphone in our pocket, has a similar story, a long, resource-intensive journey that touches every corner of the globe. When we multiply this journey by the billions of products consumed every year, the scale of our collective consumer footprint becomes staggering. The empowering knowledge offered in this scene is not intended to create a sense of guilt, but to foster a sense of profound awareness and agency. It reveals that we are not passive bystanders in these global systems. We are active participants. Every purchase we make is a vote, a signal sent back through the supply chain that endorses a particular way of making things.
By understanding the life cycle of our possessions, we gain the wisdom to make more conscious choices, to seek out products that are made sustainably and ethically, to repair what is broken instead of replacing it, and to value quality and durability over disposability. It is here, in the realm of our personal choices, that the abstract problem of environmental degradation becomes a tangible opportunity for individual action.
The final destination in our exploration of humans hurting themselves is the inevitable endpoint of a linear economy. The landfill, the gutter, the vast swirling gyre of plastic in the middle of the ocean. It is the world we create after we have consumed. For most of human history, our waste was organic and biodegradable, seamlessly reabsorbed into the cycles of nature. But in the last century, we invented materials that nature never evolved to handle, chief among them, plastic. This remarkable substance, durable, lightweight, and incredibly versatile, is also the perfect symbol of our broken relationship with the planet. We have created a material designed to last for centuries, yet we use it for products that we discard in a matter of minutes: a plastic bottle, a shopping bag, a coffee cup lid. This fundamental design flaw has unleashed a global crisis. The book takes us to the staggering mountains of trash that rise on the outskirts of our cities, toxic landscapes where the accumulated detritus of our consumer culture is buried, leaching pollutants into the soil and groundwater. But it is when this waste escapes our managed systems that its true impact is felt. We follow the journey of a single plastic bag blown by the wind from a landfill into a stream, which carries it to a river, which in turn flows into the sea. Here it joins trillions of other pieces of plastic, a permanent, indestructible confetti that chokes marine ecosystems. We are shown the heartbreaking images of sea turtles mistaking plastic bags for jellyfish, their primary food source, and seabirds whose stomachs are filled with colorful bottle caps and plastic fragments. We see the haunting specter of whales and dolphins entangled in abandoned fishing nets, the ghost gear that drifts silently through the oceans. The profound wisdom of this scene is the shattering of a convenient illusion, the concept of a way. When we throw something away, it does not simply vanish. It becomes a part of the landscape, the water, and even the bodies of other living creatures. This confrontation with our own waste is a sobering conclusion to the book's first part, but it is also a powerful catalyst for change. It makes clear the urgent necessity of rethinking our entire approach, of moving away from a linear model of take, make, waste, and embracing the wisdom of nature's own model, a circular system where there's no such thing as waste, and everything is a resource for something new. Having witnessed the direct, tangible wounds we inflict on our planet, the scarred landscapes and polluted waters, we now move into the second part of our journey: unexpected impacts. Here, the consequences of our actions become broader, more systemic, and in many ways, more insidious. We begin with the most significant of these impacts, a crisis that unfolds not in one specific place, but across the entire globe, often in ways that are too slow or too vast for us to perceive in our daily lives. The silent crisis of climate change. For centuries, the Earth has maintained a delicate energy balance, wrapped in a protective atmospheric blanket that traps just enough of the sun's heat to make life possible. This is the natural greenhouse effect, a benign and essential planetary function. However, the Industrial Revolution, powered by the burning of colossal amounts of fossil fuels like coal, oil, and gas, began to fundamentally alter this balance. The book explains this complex science with beautiful simplicity. By releasing billions of tons of carbon dioxide and other gases, we have been progressively thickening that atmospheric blanket. Each year, it traps more and more heat that would otherwise have escaped into space, causing the Earth's average temperature to steadily climb.
While a degree or two may sound insignificant, this small shift in the global average is enough to unleash immense and disruptive power. We see this power at the planet's poles, where ancient glaciers and vast ice sheets, which have been stable for millennia, are now melting at an accelerating rate, pouring trillions of gallons of fresh water into the oceans and causing sea levels to rise, threatening coastal cities and communities worldwide. We see it in the changing weather patterns. Droughts become more prolonged and severe, turning fertile regions into dust bowls, while elsewhere, rain falls in unprecedented deluges, causing catastrophic floods. Hurricanes and typhoons, fueled by warmer ocean waters, gather more energy and become more destructive. The crucial educational value of this scene is to demystify climate change, to strip it of political controversy, and present it as a direct, physical consequence of our collective actions. It is the planet's slow-motion response to 2 centuries of unchecked emissions, a silent, creeping crisis that has become the defining environmental challenge of our time, its ripple effects touching every ecosystem and every life on Earth.
From the immense atmospheric scale of climate change, our focus now narrows to one of nature's smallest and most vital engineers, the bee. For most of us, the gentle buzz of a bee is simply the sound of summer, a fleeting presence among the flowers. But the lost human reveals that this tiny creature is, in fact, a cornerstone of our global food system and the health of our planet's ecosystems. The book illuminates the intricate and beautiful dance of pollination. As bees travel from flower to flower collecting nectar, they carry pollen from one to another, enabling plants to produce the fruits, seeds, and vegetables that are essential to our diet. It's a service so fundamental that we often take it for granted. Yet it is estimated that 1 out of every 3 bites of food we eat depends directly on the work of pollinators like bees. They are the invisible workforce that underpins much of our agriculture, responsible for everything from apples and almonds to coffee and chocolate. This is what makes their sudden and mysterious decline so profoundly alarming. In recent decades, beekeepers around the world have reported a devastating phenomenon known as colony collapse disorder, where entire hives of bees inexplicably vanish. The book explains that this is not due to a single cause, but a death by 1,000 cuts, a toxic combination of factors. These include the widespread use of certain pesticides, particularly neonicotinoids, which disorient the bees and damage their immune systems, the loss of habitat, as diverse meadows of wildflowers are replaced by vast monoculture fields offering little nourishment, and the overarching stress of climate change, which alters the timing of when flowers bloom. The true unexpected impact here is the realization of our profound interconnectedness. The fate of this tiny insect is inextricably linked to our own food security. A world without bees would be a quieter, less colorful, and far less bountiful world. Their disappearance is a stark warning, a canary in the coal mine, demonstrating that the health of the smallest creatures is a direct reflection of the health of the entire planetary system, and that the disruption of one small, vital link can cause the entire web of life to tremble.
Our investigation into unexpected impacts now takes us from the land to the sea, focusing on a product that has become a global symbol of healthy eating: salmon. We picture it as a vibrant, powerful fish, leaping up pristine rivers, a pure taste of the wild. This image, however, clashes sharply with the reality of how the vast majority of the salmon we consume is produced. The book dives beneath the surface of the booming aquaculture industry to uncover the hidden environmental costs of industrial fish farming. To meet global demand, millions of salmon are raised in densely packed net pens, tethered in sheltered coastal bays and fjords. While this method, known as aquaculture, was initially hailed as a solution to the overfishing of wild stocks, it has created a host of its own ecological problems. The sheer concentration of fish in these pens produces an enormous amount of waste. Uneaten feed and fecal matter drift out into the surrounding waters, blanketing the seabed and creating nutrient pollution that can lead to harmful algal blooms, starving the water of oxygen and killing off other marine life. Furthermore, these crowded conditions are a breeding ground for diseases and parasites, particularly sea lice, which forces many farms to use chemical pesticides and antibiotics to keep their stock alive, substances that are then released directly into the ocean's currents. But perhaps the most profound and unexpected impact is what these farmed salmon are fed. Salmon are carnivorous predators. To fatten them up for market, they are given feed made from fish meal and fish oil, which is produced by catching and processing vast quantities of smaller, wild fish like anchovies, sardines, and krill. It can take several pounds of these wild fish to produce just 1 pound of farmed salmon, meaning that instead of relieving pressure on the oceans, this industry is actively depleting the foundational species of the marine food web, impacting everything from wild fish stocks to seabirds and marine mammals. The wisdom here is a lesson in critical awareness. The perfectly pink fillet in the supermarket has a complex backstory, and its true cost is not reflected in its price. It serves as a powerful case study, urging us to look beyond the marketing and ask deeper questions about where all of our food comes from, revealing that even our healthiest choices can have unhealthy consequences for the planet.
After examining specific case studies like the decline of bees and the cost of salmon farming, The Lost Human now zooms out to reveal a more profound and awe-inspiring truth. No single environmental issue exists in isolation. Our planet is not a collection of separate problems, but a single, deeply interconnected system where every action has a ripple effect, often in ways that are completely unexpected. This scene is dedicated to illuminating these unseen connections, the invisible threads that weave the fate of a forest in one continent to the rainfall in another. The book presents the powerful example of the Amazon rainforest. To the casual observer, it is a vast, remote jungle, but to the planet, it is a vital organ. The billions of trees in the Amazon release enormous quantities of water vapor into the atmosphere through a process called transpiration. This moisture forms colossal flying rivers in the sky, atmospheric currents that transport water across thousands of miles, influencing weather patterns and delivering life-giving rain to agricultural heartlands far to the south. The deforestation of the Amazon, therefore, is not just a loss of trees and biodiversity, it is the slow dismantling of a continental-scale climate engine, with the potential to trigger droughts and disrupt food production in regions seemingly far removed from the forest itself. This principle of long-distance connection works in other surprising ways. Dust storms in the Sahara Desert, for example, lift nutrient-rich minerals into the atmosphere, which are then carried across the Atlantic Ocean, eventually falling to fertilize the very same Amazon rainforest. It is a breathtaking feedback loop, a planetary circulatory system that has operated for millennia. The wisdom imparted here is a fundamental shift in perspective. It teaches us to see the world not as a map of distinct countries and ecosystems, but as a single, integrated living body. A pollutant released into a river in one nation becomes a problem for the ocean shared by all. Carbon emitted from one country's power plants warms the entire globe, melting glaciers thousands of miles away. Understanding these intricate, unseen connections is crucial. It shows us that local actions can have global consequences and that we cannot solve our environmental crises with a fragmented, piecemeal approach. We must learn to think like nature itself, holistically, systemically, and with a deep appreciation for the delicate web that binds us all together.
The final and most sobering lesson in Unexpected Impacts is that the consequences of environmental degradation do not stop at the boundaries of the natural world. They ripple outward, crashing into the heart of human society, creating instability, conflict, and immense suffering. The book makes it devastatingly clear that the environmental crisis is, at its core, a humanitarian crisis. It is a story about people.
We are guided to regions of the world where the rain has stopped falling, where once fertile lands have been withered by relentless climate change-fueled drought. Here we see how the struggle for dwindling resources like water and arable land can escalate tensions between communities, strain governments, and act as a threat multiplier in already fragile political climates, sometimes pushing societies toward the brink of conflict. The scarcity of life's most basic necessities becomes a catalyst for desperation and social breakdown. The ripple effect is also felt along the world's coastlines. We meet the inhabitants of low-lying island nations and coastal villages, people who have lived in harmony with the sea for generations. Now, as sea levels rise and storm surges become more powerful, their homes, their fresh water sources, and even their ancestral burial grounds are being swallowed by the ocean. They are becoming the world's first climate refugees, forced to abandon their homelands and cultures in search of safety on higher ground. This is not a future abstract threat. It is a present-day reality for millions. The crucial educational value of this scene is its focus on environmental justice. It highlights the profound injustice that the people who are often hit first and hardest by climate change and ecological collapse, small farmers, indigenous peoples, and impoverished coastal communities, are the very ones who have contributed the least to the problem. Their lives and livelihoods are being sacrificed for a global economic system from which they have barely benefited. Understanding this human dimension is vital. It transforms the environmental crisis from a scientific problem into a moral one, urging us to seek solutions that are not only effective, but also equitable, just, and compassionate.
Just as the weight of our global challenges seems heaviest, the narrative of the lost human takes a decisive and hopeful turn. We now enter a new phase of the story, one defined not by the problems we have created, but by our incredible capacity to solve them. This section is a powerful testament to human ingenuity, showcasing a wave of technological innovation that is already beginning to build a more sustainable world. The journey begins with the most fundamental challenge: energy. For centuries, our progress has been shackled to the destructive cycle of burning fossil fuels. Now, we witness the dawn of a new energy era. We are shown breathtaking landscapes transformed by clean power, vast solar arrays shimmering in the desert, elegantly converting raw sunlight into electricity for thousands of homes, and graceful wind turbines standing like sentinels along coastlines, harvesting the inexhaustible power of the wind. This is not the brute force extraction of the past. It is a smarter, more harmonious way of working with the planet's natural energy flows. This same spirit of creativity is revolutionizing agriculture. To heal the wounds of industrial farming, innovators are developing systems like precision agriculture, using drones and sensors to give crops the exact amount of water and nutrients they need, drastically reducing waste and pollution. In cities, vertical farms are rising, growing fresh produce indoors in stacked layers, using a fraction of the land and water while eliminating the need for long-distance transportation. And to tackle the mountains of trash we produce, new waste-to-energy technologies are turning our non-recyclable garbage into a source of power, while materials scientists are inventing revolutionary bioplastics from mushrooms and algae that can simply dissolve back into the earth. The profound knowledge offered in this scene is a powerful antidote to despair. It demonstrates that the same intelligence and problem-solving skills that built our modern world can be redirected to heal it. These innovations are not distant science fiction. They are real, scalable solutions being implemented today, providing tangible proof that a cleaner, more sustainable, and more prosperous future is not only possible, but is actively being built.
While technological innovation offers one path forward, The Lost Human reminds us that not all solutions are born in laboratories and workshops. Some of the most profound and effective strategies for sustainable living are ancient, preserved in the cultures and traditions of the world's indigenous peoples. This scene shifts our focus from the cutting edge of science to the deep well of traditional ecological knowledge, a sophisticated and invaluable library of wisdom accumulated over countless generations of intimate connection with the land. For millennia, long before the advent of modern science, indigenous communities have been cultivating a deep understanding of their local ecosystems. This knowledge is not a collection of myths or folklore. It is a practical, field-tested science based on meticulous observation and a holistic worldview. We are shown examples of indigenous farming practices that mimic the diversity and resilience of natural forests, where a variety of crops are grown together to enrich the soil, conserve water, and provide a stable food source without chemical inputs. We learn of ancient land management techniques, such as controlled burns, used by indigenous groups to prevent larger, more destructive wildfires and promote the health of the entire ecosystem. The book highlights a crucial philosophical difference in perspective. While modern society has often viewed nature as a collection of resources to be owned and exploited for short-term gain, many indigenous worldviews are centered on the principle of reciprocity and kinship. They see the land, the rivers, and the animals not as property, but as relatives, and humanity's role not as a master, but as a steward or guardian with a sacred responsibility to care for the earth for future generations. The wisdom here is a call for humility and respect. Indigenous peoples make up a small fraction of the world's population, yet their lands hold the vast majority of the planet's remaining biodiversity. Their knowledge is not a relic of the past, but a vital, living guide for the future, offering proven models of sustainability that the rest of the world desperately needs. To listen to these voices is to gain access to a treasure trove of solutions and to begin healing our own fractured relationship with the natural world.
Having established that our cities are often the epicenters of our environmental problems, the book now returns to the urban landscape to showcase a powerful and inspiring transformation. All across the world, a new generation of architects, city planners, and engaged citizens are reimagining what a city can be, moving beyond the model of the concrete jungle to create vibrant, living ecosystems. This scene explores the rise of the green city, a place that seeks to integrate human society with the natural world, proving that density and sustainability can go hand in hand. The transformation begins with the buildings themselves. We see skyscrapers draped in vertical gardens, their living walls filtering the air, cooling the building, and providing a splash of biodiversity in the heart of the city. Rooftops, once barren expanses of tar, are being converted into lush green spaces that absorb rainwater to prevent flooding, insulate buildings to save energy, and even host urban farms and community gardens that supply residents with fresh, local produce. The blueprint for the green city also redesigns how we move. Instead of being dominated by the noise and pollution of cars, these cities prioritize people. We are shown bustling city centers where streets have been reclaimed for pedestrians, extensive networks of safe and protected bicycle lanes, and clean, efficient public transportation systems powered by renewable energy that make getting around without a car the easiest and most pleasant option. Nature is woven back into the very fabric of the metropolis. Parks are designed not just for recreation, but as vital green infrastructure that can manage stormwater and reduce the urban heat island effect. Green corridors and revitalized riverways create pathways for wildlife to move through the city. And a renewed focus on planting native trees provides shade, beauty, and essential habitat. The knowledge presented here is a practical and hopeful vision for the future of humanity,
as we are an increasingly urban species. It demonstrates that our cities do not have to be a source of environmental degradation. Through smart design, political will, and community action, they can become engines of sustainability, innovation, and a higher quality of life for all their inhabitants.
Beyond the cities and the managed landscapes, there lies a more radical and profound vision of hope, the promise of rewilding. This is not just about conserving the wild places we have left, but about actively restoring the ones we have lost. It is a bold and optimistic strategy that involves reintroducing key species, removing human barriers, and then stepping back to allow nature to heal itself. The Lost Human showcases this concept through one of the most successful and inspiring ecological experiments of our time, the reintroduction of wolves to Yellowstone National Park. For decades, without its apex predator, the park's ecosystem had fallen out of balance. Elk populations had exploded, grazing the valleys and riverbanks down to bare earth. But when wolves were returned, something remarkable and unexpected happened. The wolves didn't just reduce the number of elk, they changed their behavior. The elk began to avoid open areas where they were vulnerable, allowing the overgrazed vegetation along the rivers to rebound. As willow and aspen trees grew back, they brought with them a cascade of other changes. The trees stabilized the riverbanks, reducing erosion. Beavers returned, using the new wood to build dams, which created ponds and wetlands that became habitats for fish, birds, and amphibians. The entire landscape was re-engineered and brought back to vibrant life, all because one missing piece of the puzzle was put back into place. This powerful example reveals a fundamental truth about the natural world: its incredible resilience. The educational value of rewilding is that it teaches us that nature is often the best healer. Our role is not always to manage and control, but sometimes to simply remove the obstacles and let the intricate web of life repair itself. This promise extends far beyond national parks. It can mean reforesting barren hillsides to bring back birds and capture carbon, restoring wetlands to act as natural flood defenses, or removing dams to allow rivers to flow freely once again. Rewilding is an act of profound hope, a partnership with nature that trusts in its ancient wisdom and its astonishing capacity for renewal.
The final piece of the puzzle in our journey through solutions is perhaps the most ambitious of all. It tackles the fundamental design flaw of our modern world, the linear economic model of take, make, and waste. For 2 centuries, we have operated on the assumption that we can take resources from the earth, make them into products, and then simply throw them away when we are done. The Lost Human introduces the elegant and powerful alternative that is poised to replace this outdated system: the circular economy. This scene explains a paradigm shift in our thinking, moving away from a straight line that ends in a landfill and toward a closed loop that mimics the regenerative cycles of nature itself. In a circular economy, the concept of waste is eliminated by design. Products are created from the very beginning to be durable, easy to repair, and simple to disassemble, so that their valuable components can be recovered and reused to make new products. It is a system built on ingenuity and foresight. We are shown examples of this revolutionary model in action. There are technology companies creating modular phones where a broken camera or a failing battery can be swapped out in minutes, ending the cycle of built-in obsolescence. We see fashion brands that invite customers to return old clothing, which is then broken down and respun into new fabric. The model extends beyond just products to the very idea of ownership, with businesses offering services like tool rentals or clothing subscriptions, which provide all the benefits of access without the environmental burden of individual ownership. The core wisdom of the circular economy is that it aligns our economic prosperity with the health of our planet. Instead of seeing environmental protection as a cost, it frames smart resource use and waste reduction as an opportunity for innovation, efficiency, and new business creation. It is the ultimate expression of the knowledge we've gained so far, integrating technological innovation, smart design, and a deeper understanding of natural systems into a coherent and hopeful blueprint for a truly sustainable civilization. One that can thrive not by consuming the planet, but by regenerating it.
Our journey now brings us to its final and most intimate chapter, moving from the grand scale of systems and technologies to the quiet, unyielding power of the human heart. This is the story of individuals who, faced with overwhelming environmental challenges, chose not to despair, but to act. It begins with a simple and powerful parable, the story of a single seed, which represents the immense potential of one person's determination. We are introduced to an individual living in a community at the foot of a barren, sun-scorched hill. Decades of deforestation had left the land scarred and eroded. When the rains came, they washed the precious topsoil away, and when the sun shone, it baked the earth into cracked clay. The elders spoke of a time when the hill was lush and green, a source of shade, food, and clean water from natural springs that had long since dried up. One day, this individual decided they could no longer accept this reality. With a small bag of seeds and a shovel, they began the seemingly impossible task of bringing the hill back to life. It was a quiet, solitary act. Neighbors watched with skepticism, seeing the lone figure toiling under the hot sun as a gentle eccentric, their efforts a futile gesture against such a vast and desolate landscape. But the work continued, day after day, year after year. The first saplings were fragile, and many did not survive. Yet with unwavering perseverance, the individual tended to the young trees, watering them, protecting them, and slowly, almost imperceptibly, a small patch of green began to take hold. This small victory was a seed of hope not just for the land, but for the community. The wisdom of this story is a profound lesson in the nature of change. It illustrates that the most significant transformations do not always begin with grand plans or massive funding, but with the quiet courage of a single person's conviction. That one individual, armed with nothing more than a simple tool and an unshakable belief in a better future, can set in motion a process of healing that ripples outward, eventually transforming an entire landscape and inspiring a whole community. It is a powerful reminder that in the face of global challenges, our own small, persistent actions are never truly small.
When the quiet determination of one person inspires another and then another, individual action blossoms into collective power. This scene takes us from the solitary hillside to the heart of a bustling city, to a forgotten, derelict lot. A small patch of urban blight filled with broken glass and overgrown weeds. It was a space that people hurried past, a symbol of neglect in their own neighborhood. But a few residents saw something different. They saw not an eyesore, but an opportunity. Their work began simply, with a neighborhood cleanup day. As they cleared away the rubbish and pulled the weeds, a remarkable transformation began, not just of the land, but of the community itself. More neighbors came out to help, drawn by the spirit of renewal. The cleared patch of earth became a shared vision. They built raised beds from reclaimed wood, brought in fresh soil, and planted seeds. Soon, what was once a wasteland became a vibrant and flourishing community garden.
This small oasis brought with it a cascade of benefits that rippled throughout the neighborhood. Environmentally, it became a hub of biodiversity, attracting bees and butterflies back to the city. It provided residents with access to fresh, healthy, organic food, reducing their reliance on produce shipped from thousands of miles away. But the most significant changes were social. The garden became the new heart of the community. It was a place where elderly residents, who had gardening knowledge to share, worked alongside young families. It was a living classroom where children learned firsthand where their food comes from. It broke down social barriers, fostering friendships between people who had lived on the same street for years but had never truly connected. The wisdom of the community garden is a powerful lesson in the value of local grassroots action. It demonstrates that we have the power to reclaim and heal the spaces around us, creating solutions that nourish us in body and spirit. It proves that we do not have to wait for permission or for top-down change. The tools for building a more sustainable and more connected world are often right in our own hands, waiting to be picked up. From the quiet dedication of individuals and the collaborative spirit of communities, our story now turns to the global stage, where a new and powerful voice has emerged, the voice of the young activist. This scene celebrates the passion, moral clarity, and unwavering determination of the next generation, who are refusing to inherit a broken planet and are demanding immediate and decisive action. We are introduced to a figure who represents this global movement, a young person, perhaps still in school, who has recognized the profound injustice of the climate crisis. They see a world where the decisions made by previous generations are now threatening the very future of their own. Armed not with political power or economic influence, but with the unimpeachable authority of their own vulnerability, they decide to speak out. Their message is simple, direct, and cuts through the noise of political debate. The science is clear, the planet is in peril, and the time for excuses is over. Using the tools of their generation, social media, global connectivity, and a shared sense of urgency, their single act of protest, a lonely school strike or a viral video, ignites a global phenomenon. We see this movement swell into a tidal wave of youth action. The screen fills with images of millions of students in thousands of cities across the world walking out of their classrooms and taking to the streets. They are a diverse and unified force, holding creative handmade signs and chanting for their right to a livable future. They're not asking for change, they are demanding it. And in doing so, they are fundamentally shifting the global conversation. The profound wisdom here is the recognition that leadership can come from anywhere, and that the most powerful voices are often those with the most at stake. These young activists are a living embodiment of hope and a powerful rebuke to apathy. They remind the world that no one is too small to make a difference, and they are inspiring people of all ages to find their own courage and join the fight for a just and sustainable world. Their movement is a clear signal that the generation that will inherit the earth is ready to lead the charge in saving it.
Our final story in this chapter of hope and human resilience brings us back to the problem of waste, but approaches it with a spirit of creativity and joyful invention. Faced with a world overflowing with discarded objects, a new kind of innovator is emerging, the upcycler. These are the artists, designers, and everyday craftspeople who look at a pile of what others call trash and see a treasure trove of potential. This scene celebrates their resourcefulness and their ability to transform the disposable into the desirable, the forgotten into the beautiful. Upcycling is a form of practical magic. It is the art of taking a material that has reached the end of its intended life and giving it a new, higher purpose. We see this magic in the workshop of an artist who scours beaches for plastic fragments, worn smooth by the sea, and arranges them into stunning, colorful mosaics that tell a story of our impact on the oceans. We witness a designer who collects discarded textiles and transforms them into high-fashion garments. Their creations a bold statement against the wasteful fast fashion industry. The movement extends beyond art and fashion into everyday problem-solving. We are shown entrepreneurs building durable and stylish furniture from old shipping pallets, and communities in developing nations that have learned to compress plastic bags into strong, insulating bricks used to build schools and homes. In these acts of transformation, the object is not the only thing that changes. Our perception changes too. The wisdom of upcycling is a profound shift in mindset. It is a direct and creative rebellion against the take-make-waste culture. It teaches us to look at the world with new eyes, to see value where we once saw none, and to recognize that the concept of waste is often just a failure of imagination. These innovators are the pioneers of a more resourceful future, proving that with a little ingenuity, we can find abundance in what we have already, turning the remnants of our past into the building blocks of a more sustainable and beautiful world.
Our journey through the pages of The Lost Human is now drawing to a close. We have traveled from the wounded heart of our cities and industries to the silent frontiers of climate change, and we have witnessed the unexpected consequences of our actions on the planet's most delicate systems. The first part of this journey painted a somber picture, one that might lead us to believe that the book's title is a final verdict, that we are indeed a lost species, disconnected from our home and destined to continue on a path of destruction. But the second half of our journey has revealed a different, more powerful truth. We have seen the brilliant light of human innovation, from the elegant simplicity of a wind turbine to the complex genius of a circular economy. We have been humbled by the ancient, time-tested wisdom of indigenous cultures and inspired by the promise of rewilding and the resilience of nature itself. Most importantly, we have witnessed the unshakable power of the human spirit in the face of adversity, in the single seed of hope planted on a barren hill, in the shared joy of a community garden, in the courageous voice of the young activist, and in the creative spark that turns waste into art. This is the ultimate message of the book. We are a species of profound contradictions. We hold an immense capacity for short-sightedness and destruction, but we are equally endowed with boundless creativity, deep empathy, and an incredible ability to solve the very problems we create. The title, The Lost Human, is not a declaration of who we are, but a warning of who we might become if we fail to act. The book is a mirror, showing us both our flaws and our greatest strengths, and its ultimate purpose is to leave us with a sense of profound agency. We are not lost, we are simply at a crossroads, and the path we take next is a choice. The knowledge we have gained is the map, and the stories of hope are the compass, proving that we have the tools, the wisdom, and the heart to find our way back to a more balanced and harmonious relationship with our planet.
The journey does not end here. The final and most critical piece of wisdom that The Lost Human offers is this: knowledge without action remains dormant. The purpose of this story is not simply to inform, but to inspire. Not just to raise awareness, but to ignite a personal commitment to change. The great story of our time, the story of whether we heal our world or continue to harm it, is not being written by distant anonymous forces. It is being written by us in the choices we make every single day. So the question now turns to you. How will you contribute to this new beginning? The path forward begins not with a single giant leap, but with a series of small, intentional steps. Start with your own curiosity. Ask questions about the products you buy, the food you eat, and the energy you use. Choose one area in your life where you can reduce waste, Whether it's refusing single-use plastics or learning to repair a piece of clothing instead of discarding it. These are not insignificant acts. They are the seeds of a new culture of conscious consumption and stewardship. Then, look beyond your own home and connect with your community. Support a local farmer's market, volunteer for a park cleanup, or simply start a conversation with your neighbors about the changes you'd like to see. Real, lasting change is built on the foundation of strong, engaged communities working together for a common good. Finally, use your voice. You are a citizen. Support businesses, policies, and leaders who champion environmental sustainability. Let your voice be a force for demanding a better, healthier, and more just world for all. The challenges we face are immense, but they are not insurmountable. We are not lost. We are the innovators, the guardians, the community builders, and the storytellers. The future is unwritten, and every positive action, no matter how small it may seem, is a pen stroke in the epic tale of our planet's recovery.
The journey through The Lost Human shows us that while our challenges are immense, our capacity for ingenuity, compassion, and resilience is even greater. We've learned that our planet is a single, interconnected system, and that the path forward lies in combining technological innovation with ancient wisdom, systemic change with individual action. The ultimate lesson is not that humanity is lost, but that we have always had the power to find our way. The choice to heal our world is not in the hands of a few, but in the hearts and actions of us all. The story is not over, and we are all its authors. If this journey has given you a renewed sense of hope and purpose, subscribe and click the bell for more summaries of books that have the power to reshape our world. Thank you for watching.